The Los Angeles Rams stole the show to kick off the June 1st news cycle, making a blockbuster trade to acquire the reigning Defensive Player of the Year in Myles Garrett. According to Adam Schefter, the Rams gave up Jared Verse along with a first, second, and third round pick to acquire the 30-year-old superstar. Verse was quickly ascending into one of the best pass rushers in the league, but the Rams took a huge swing to acquire the most dominant edge in football. Garrett broke the single season sack record last year with 23 in 17 games, while also leading the league for the second straight year with 33 tackles for loss. With 125 and a half career sacks, Garrett would need just 16 more to tie Michael Strahan for the 10th most in NFL history, and that feels more than reachable in this Rams defense. This move solidifies the Rams as the premier Super Bowl contender in the NFC, while giving Garrett finally a chance to compete for a championship. So to show you the impact that Garrett will have on this Rams defense, spoiler alert, he's really good. We're going to dive into his film today in a special emergency episode of Best Available. Thank you for watching today's episode. Make sure that you're subscribed on YouTube if you're not already, and give us a follow on socials at Best Available YT. As always, a huge thank you to our members who continue to support the channel. If you'd also like to support us, consider becoming one. I'll leave details to the episode description. It's just $2.99 a month. Get full access to my NFL Draft Big Board, which is already almost at 30 prospects for the 2027 cycle. So check that out. Let's go ahead and dive into the Garrett tape, though. Again, spoiler alert, he's so good. I was talking to a friend while preparing for this video and just talking about, usually we don't talk about the really, really good players on this channel, mostly because it's self-explanatory that they're good, but when we get the opportunity to talk about one and actually dive into the film, it gives me a newfound appreciation for what makes them truly elite. Like, we know Myles Garrett is this 270-pound guy that just moves different for his size and racks up a ton of sacks. When you watch the tape, and I hope you get to appreciate it as we go through this, you just see like the pure dominance. And this is a great example of this on this first play. Going against the Bengals, and boy, is this tackle ready to get out of his set this whole game. I don't know what the stance is. It really bothers me. I would need an offensive lineman person to explain the value of this. I'm sure there is some. That's an NFL tackle. I'm not going to totally bash him there, but I just thought it looked a little goofy. But you can tell just off the snap how urgent people want to get out in their stance against Garrett. But boy, is he able to get out quick too. I mean, we're just now getting to our first step here. He's already launched out. That's the kind of burst we're talking about with Myles Garrett. And then what I love here is he's just, forcing himself. You always talk about getting into the chest of a tackle, but what I love is the hand placement here from Garrett. If you're paying attention, you can see his hands like up here by, above the bicep. It's really controlling this point of attack more than you'd think because it's preventing the tackle from doing anything really with his arms. When you're getting controlled up here, you can see he's striking right there. With a really strong guy, there's not much you can do. You can kind of move like this with your hands and elbows, but you can't really get force and try and like push and latch on to a tackle. It's a great job by Garrett there. Gets extended. You can see that, the power with his push there to just throw the tackle off. He's able to get all the way extended because of his placement. And now the tackle has no kind of control. You can see his hands up in the air. There's no latching on to Garrett on this play. So Garrett just shoves off this tackle, then keeps working. The tackle's trying to re-engage, and that's when he rips underneath. And then he's going to bend around the edge and gets Joe Burrow. Just a great sack. And if you watch it all in one fluid motion, just the power to get through there, then rip around, then the effort just to quickly tighten that corner and get to Burrow. The tape is going to be littered with plays like this where he just manhandles offensive linemen. You've probably heard the phrase wide 9 alignment, which is, a wider stance for an edge rusher on passing downs, usually around here. Try and just get a, easier path to the quarterback. Look at where Garrett is relative to this tackle. Like, I get he's playing off the end man and the tight end, but this tight end is like basically, practically a slot in this situation. That alignment's crazy, especially if this tight end's not going to give you any kind of chip help. Which is going to happen here with this motion. He's just going to go out. He's like, I don't want to deal with Myles Garrett. And honestly, don't blame him. But we've got this wide alignment. And so the tackle's going to gain depth. He's keeping his eye on Garrett. But watch, Garrett breaks his brain with like a Euro step. Garrett busts out this, like, it's almost like a basketball move here, like these jab in and out steps. And you can just see what that does to the tackle's brain. I mean, he's like, "Oh, I'm looking for the stunt then, I guess," because he's just like he's feigning inside, so he's thinking, "Okay, if he's going inside, this D tackle's coming around. I need to be prepared to pick that up." Instead, Garrett's like, "Nah, just kidding. I'm gonna plant off this and then use you off balance because now he's fully turned his shoulders and hips. Big no in pass protection. You do not want to do that, especially against an elite pass rusher. Garrett recognizes it on his step and is like, "Oh, perfect. I'll just get into your chest then." So he forces it. This tackle has to reflip his hips this way and try and get as square as he can. But now he's got this like staggered step. So he has no balance here. And so Garrett's just like, "I'm just going to run through you to Joe Burrow." And if you watch it all in one motion, man, it's just the way he breaks this poor tackle's brain on this play is hilarious. The just catches him totally off guard with that like crossover Euro step. You got to be prepared for Garrett on these. You're gonna see this step. I think one or two more times throughout this video. It really gives tackles fit because they try to start cheating their like pass sets. It messes with their timing, their rhythm, their ability to stay square and on balance and control. And then it can just, let Garrett kind of just take you for a ride towards the quarterback. And I forgot to mention the most important part. This was the very next play after the first one we showed. Just back-to-back sacks for Garrett. You're not going to break the sack record without some effort sacks. And effort looks at like in a couple of different ways, but it really is just never giving up on a play, having counter moves at your disposal, being ready to like adjust on the fly. Not every sack can be one of these incredible bend around the edge, get to the quarterback, and that's what makes the elite guys truly special. We can talk about Micah Parsons, the Von Miller days, all of that, but these guys still had to produce high effort sacks, and this is a great example of one where he's initially getting beat by one of the best tackles of this era in Ronnie Stanley. He's going to have to counter off of a nice move by Stanley. So as we get this rolling, you're going to see he tries to cut inside on Stanley. Stanley does a nice job staying lateral, staying square, working back inside, getting in front of Garrett, handling that inside rush quite well, and then picking him up, and then just using his momentum to take him for a ride around the pocket from Lamar. Totally the right idea against Garrett. Sometimes, you kind of have a physical mismatch because Garrett's going to be a physical mismatch against anyone. Use his momentum against him, get him around the pocket. Totally the right idea by Stanley here. But Garrett, man, you can see him plant that foot right here. It's just like, I'm getting taken for a ride. He's using my momentum against me. Let me just be an athletic freak, despite being 270 pounds, and plant that foot and spin off of this into the quarterback's lap. Gets half a sack out of it, but this is the kind of like effort stuff and understanding when to counter. Like he's like, "Hey, I'm working inside on this, but my momentum is being used against me." That spin, man. Guys should not be able to stop like that. He really does play like a basketball player sometimes. And he's so much bigger than the average NBA guy, but he just has some of these moves at his disposal. It's just such a nice spin move. Understanding what the tackle's trying to do to you here with that inside. Just staying low too. He gets low into that spin so he can quickly change direction. This is high effort, great awareness of what the tackle's trying to do to you and having a plan of attack immediately as he realizes what's happening. You can't be 270 pounds and lead the league in tackles for loss in back-to-back seasons without being a pretty good run defender. Now, admittedly, a lot of his TFLs that aren't sacks come from just pursuit on the backside. So if the running back's over here, we're just running outside. Typically, he gets unblocked and just hustles his ass off to get to the other side of the field and gets a lot of those TFLs that way. But man, sometimes he can just dip into the backfield, sneaking, throw a surprise at you. We're going to try and reach block him here. We motion the tight end away from Garrett here, and we're going to try and reach block him with Ronnie Stanley. This is a tough assignment for anyone, especially from this wide 9 alignment, right? We've got to really get out there. It's a very difficult task you're asking of Stanley here. Garrett's timing off the snap, because you can see like he's just so quick off the snap. We're just getting in here. He's got that forward lean. He's got that burst. He's staying low, and then he's going to swipe at that hand, the dip, and then the angle he takes. Look at that angle of his ankle. That's what we call bend. Like, this is textbook bend. And again, for a guy that's 270 pounds, you should not be able to be this flexible around the edge. So not only does he get around here, he tightens that path to meet the ball carrier. It's just, I feel awful for Stanley because that's just such a tough reach block in general. But then just the bend by Garrett there, and then he's got such stopping power with his tackles. When you get tackled by him in open space, It just looks like it hurts. But I'm just blown away. And I love the hand uses there. Swipe at that hand, use that momentum to get yourself a little lower, and then again ankle flexion. Like the angles of which he's getting low down here are ridiculous to get around that corner. Huge fan of that. He can use some of these, these abilities that flash so much and so often in pass pro to also sneak into the backfield against the run. If you're gonna run the ball towards Myles Garrett, uh, don't put a tight end on him. I know T.J. Hawkinson's one of the better blocking tight ends in football, but this is still not going to be a good idea, and you're going to see why. Great burst off the snap here. Hawkinson's like, oh boy, I got to get low and try and hold this. Notice where they're getting off the ball. Right around here, right. I want you to watch how Garrett just resets the line of scrimmage at the point of attack. Because now all of a sudden, Hawkinson's working a full yard back into the backfield. We've just completely collapsed this side of the play because Garrett, even though he's not winning the pad level battle, he's just dominating the point of attack and just just literally takes the tight end for a ride into the backfield here. This is just the kind of power that we're dealing with when it comes to Garrett, that he can just dominate the point of attack, not really care that you're trying to block him, and then just find his way to the ball carrier with a guy draped all over him. Ends up being a 2-yard gain, not a successful play for the Vikings, just because you're dealing with an alien at edge that's just going to just manhandle tight ends. Stop trying to block, especially in the run game with tight ends on Myles Garrett. The thing that's so nice about Garrett, you've seen all the physical ability at his size and that bend and fluidity and burst that you can really effectively operate him on pass rush games. So there's all kinds of different stuff you can run. It's just an example of it. An obvious 3rd and long where the Dolphins are going to try and pass, and we're just going to try and throw the offensive line off guard. And it's just a simple stunt. We're going to jab inside and then work out with his defensive lineman, and then Garrett's just going to loop around and try and catch offensive linemen off guard. Pretty simple. So Garrett's on that far left side as we roll this. I think that's Mason Graham. Yeah, he's going to try and draw a double team, get this lineman's eyes here first before he has to react and recover and try and catch Garrett looping around. So we've got that going. We've even got a running back in to try and chip, and then Garrett's just going to split this double team, whiff by the running back too. I don't think he's prepared for how quickly Garrett's going to get there, but we dip around, whiff on that double team, and then it's just the bend with a guy on your back. He's still tightening this path to the quarterback. This momentum, in theory, against some other edge rushers could hopefully, displace the pass rusher a little bit, just keep him around the pocket and keep this clean. Instead, tightened path, Garrett's so damn strong that even with the guy pushing him to his side, we're talking about that ankle flexibility again. Look at the angles with which he's moving. That's freakish for a guy this big. He should not be able to take those kind of angles to the quarterback, but he's still bending around that. He won that battle the second that lineman even thought about the stunt, and then all of a sudden he's getting to the backfield. If we run then just one smooth motion, just the tight path from Garrett here, split that double team and then just tighten it to get loop around to the quarterback. He is built like a power edge setter, but he's like one of the most fluid pass rushers in football. You rarely see anything like this. There's been a lot of discourse about using the word generational when talking about players, and it should be used only for truly players that you only see once in a lifetime. I think Myles Garrett fits that mold. We're running another one of those just twists around, getting this guy to jab outside. And I liked showing this one too immediately after the last one because I want you to see just Will Campbell, man. He gets abused this game. I think Garrett gets 4 sacks against one of the Super Bowl teams in the Super Bowl this past season. And he just really made this rookie's day a living hell. So we're going to see here how Campbell is trying to compensate for Garrett before the snap. So he's just trying to he's trying to take a 45-degree pass set. He's trying to gain space. He's trying to meet Garrett. But the problem is with a stunt like this, suddenly you're giving up a lot of space between you and this guard, right? Garrett's planting his foot. He's setting up a couple of steps to force Campbell out into space, and then we're going to cut inside. And it kind of puts this guard on an island, right? Because now Campbell has to try and recover, and he's just in space. He has to recover. He has to lunge here. Meanwhile, this defensive tackle is coming across the formation, and then Campbell's going to have to try and pick that up as well. So just a brutal situation for Campbell to be in. Tries to really focus on getting out there to catch up to Garrett, has to recover inside to help with the double team on the slant inside, and then he has to work back out because of the stunt. That's a brutal situation, and then Garrett just uses his strength to the guard. And if you watch it, just watch the impact with this guard with Garrett as he slants inside, just punishes him, and then just basically with a with the guard on his back gets to Drake May with ease. The kind of games that you can run that don't have to be overly complicated. You can do whatever you want for the rest of the defense, and all you have to do is just slant inside, slant outside. It makes it that much easier to just plan some 4-man pass rush games without having to send an extra rusher, knowing that Garrett's going to make your life that much easier as a defensive coordinator. We've got that wide alignment again from Garrett, and you notice Hunter Henry here. Henry's going to chip Garrett, and of all of the edges in football last year, Garrett was the most chipped edge in all of football. The entire thought process is get someone to slow him down, give the tackle some time to get to their pass set, and they can react. The problem is it still doesn't matter with Myles Garrett. He's still going to get pressures. He's still going to get sacks. That's just kind of the player we're talking about here. So here comes that chip help, and then he's going to release. And it does slow Garrett down a little bit, but you're going to notice that Campbell's problem here, he just did a cardinal sin with his pass set. He gets too antsy here. Pay attention to Campbell. He's going to try and step up to meet Myles Garrett. He's stepping up. You do not want this. You do not want to try and step up to Garrett, because now you're on your toes. You're leaning too far forward because you're trying to approach up to meet him. Garrett feels that is going to cause you to lunge, because he's going to look at how he attacks that hand with that downward swipe. He's making himself skinny so this outside hand whiffs, and then he's going to make sure that you can't control with your other hand that does get some placement. So even though you get chest with one hand, he has winning control, and he's going to try and rip through that. And then again, we've got crazy bend around the edge, gets at that football, strip sack. The chip help did not help. In fact, it just made Campbell antsy to try and engage. You should not step up in this situation, in my opinion, because Garrett feels that and just knows exactly what to do. That downward swipe move, man. He is putting all of his momentum into that swipe so that he can make himself skinny, turn those shoulders, and force that outside hand, or inside hand, I guess, to whiff. And then suddenly we just have one hand on him, and you're not going to control Myles Garrett with just one hand on his chest plate. This is just beautiful stuff, man. When he knows what he wants to do, he just becomes such an unstoppable force. I don't audibly laugh at plays a lot. It takes a lot here, but we're going to see elite play strength from Myles Garrett. Little Reggie Whitish here. We're going to try and reach him on this play. It is a play action fake, but we're just trying to get out into space to meet him. Look at the hand usage here. Attack the wrists and the elbows. Just a little, almost kind of a hump move. Get the power to just throw this guy off with just that. It reminds me so much of the Reggie White hump move a bit. He's not really attacking at the shoulder here, but it's that hand placement and just the strength that Garrett has, and knowing that momentum is hey, he's trying to get out in space, almost like at an angle like this, and it's all right, we're gonna keep letting you go this way. Just use your momentum, attack on the inside, and just throw you off. And Roger Rosengarten is not a scrub offensive tackle. He's not bad. But when you're trying to run out into space to attack Garrett, he's just gonna toss you aside because of the power that we're dealing with, and then he's gonna get to the quarterback pretty easily. Rough decision. I know you want to run a play fake and try and catch the linebacker sleeping with your lineman rolling out not rolling out, trying to fake a reach block essentially on an outside zone, but you're just tossing him with that hand usage, man. One of my favorite plays. Garrett is so damn good. Not only does he have elite play strength, but he just really knows the weak points, especially when he's striking with his hands, to get you off balance. Don't always need sacks, man. Pressures can still be important, can still impact a game. And this is a great example of that. It is 3rd and 10. We just need to get off the field, right? Incompletion, throw short of the sticks, whatever it is. We got Garrett from that wide alignment again, and he's just going to, work inside and focus on this tackle and just make his life a living hell. So as we roll this, again, great. One of the things you keep seeing is just how quickly he can get off the snap. He is able to time up that snap so well. Now, granted, most penalized edge in football last year, I think it was 8 or 9 penalties, the most in football. Just kept jumping off sides because he's just so twitchy, especially later in the year when he's just anxious to get those sacks and break the record. But I'll take the 5-yard penalties every now and then when he can get off the ball like this. I mean, he's already off, that hand's up, he's triggered, and his tackle's still in his stance. We're just now getting into that kick, and Garrett's, fully off, both hands off the ground. He's fully exploding off of that foot. So he's just winning the step there. Working outside initially, jabbing outside, working in, and he's just going to meet this tackle head on, convert speed to power into his chest. Look how low he gets, the leg drive. Then he just gets extended, all the way extended. Big mitts, powerful arms, elite play strength, gets that pressure. I mean, for Gino, man, the pocket's just collapsing instantaneously, and he's got no choice but to just try and get this ball out. Ends up being, well out of bounds, incompletion. Great example of why, sacks are nice, but in a situation like this, just forcing the incompletion, it's 4th and 10, punt the ball away, you get the ball back. Just look at this wide alignment on this play from Garrett. I mean, how many yards do you think that is? 4 or 5 away from the tackle's outside shoulder. He just wants that angle so that he can win with speed, burst, bend around the edge. He wants that path to be a little easier for him to get to the quarterback, and boy, can he do it. Again, this is a better jump from the tackle. He is, twitched up, ready to get out there. The problem is he just does not have the fluidity and athleticism to match with Garrett. And you can see the problem is he starts turning that shoulder too early. He's just not gaining enough depth in his pass set here. That kick step is just not deep enough. He's, probably taking too tight of an angle. You probably want a more vertical pass set instead of a 45-degree. You're trying to meet him, but if you're not gaining enough depth on this, it's a real problem because Garrett just easily meets him around the edge. He throws that swipe, leans on the tackle, gets that forward lean around the edge, and look at the angle of his, legs as he's planting them in the ground. Freaky bend, man. I mean, I watch a lot of edges every year, and you'll see typically the ones that have bend are like simply too small to be 3-down players, like 240, sometimes 230, 225. But we're talking about a 270-pound edge rusher that can bend to the edge like this. There's just no one doing it like him right now. Garrett really just feels like he always has a plan of attack. We got 13 personnel here. We're going to motion one tight end in. Then he's just going to insert. We're just going to try and throw one of the tight ends at Garrett, throw him off guard as far as which it's going to be. And Garrett's trying to oblige here and set up this tight end. Like, yeah, sure, I'll play your game. I'll hold outside to contain for you. And you can see then that I think it's Durham Smythe starts getting his shoulders turned. Like, all right, cool, I've got him. He's working outside. Feels like Garrett was just trying to set that up this whole play. So motion in. All right, cool. I'll work outside. Just kidding. I'm going to work back inside. And then, again, stopping power with a running back. Being like, it's literally just like a psych. You thought I was going to keep working outside for you. I'm just going to, get off this inside, work straight down the line of scrimmage, meet this running back. I can't get over the stopping power when he meets a running back in the backfield. It's just immediately like their leg stop. I don't think they're prepared for the kind of hits that Garrett's going to deliver. And this is just stuff he's doing on a regular basis near the line of scrimmage against the run. More chip help against Garrett. We've got, Cole Kmet in the slot. Garrett's going to not be amused by this at all on this chip. He's just going to say, nope, just throw you off. And I get Kmet's going to release at some point and get into his route, but this route's timing is completely thrown off because he's just totally off balance. And then what I love, not only is he throwing off the tight end, watch the left tackle try and react to this because we saw Will Campbell make the mistake of stepping up, and now we're watching this tackle not know what to do, trying to stay patient with it. He's trying to stay patient. I respect that, and he's trying not to lunge on this. The problem is Garrett's now committing to his pass rush move, planning on that outside foot, and now we just don't have the length to get to him. So now we're lunging way too overextended. We don't have a clean shot on him at all, and Garrett is such an advanced rusher with his hands that we're not going to be able to stick to him. So suddenly we're now like all the way extended. We can't get anything clean on him, so we're not actually able to do anything to slow him down. And then he just wins the edge, uses that bend to get around it, and meets Caleb Williams. Just the fact he makes a couple of great plays here, disrupting that tight end trying to chip, saying no thank you, and then working around that tackle who just has no idea what to do with this extra time to meet Garrett and just can't get latched onto him. It's just I don't know if the chip help, unless you have a very quick throw where just Garrett's not going to have the time. One of these long developing plays with tight end chip help just doesn't seem like it's going to work because it really just feels like it's putting the tackles in more disadvantageous situations once Garrett gets free. We'll finish up with the record-breaking sack because, of course, we got to. Another wide alignment here. It's so funny that even when tackles are like so proud of how quickly they're able to get out of their stances, it still doesn't matter. I'm going to get pause as soon as the ball snapped. Like, holy cow. Let me get the ball as quick as I can. Dude, it's just moved. This ball has just moved, and Garrett's already getting out of that stance. Again, credit. So is the tackle. The tackle's ready for it too. But now that that ball is completely out, I mean, Garrett is fully like 1-2 steps out, and this tackle's entire process is just doing what you probably shouldn't do typically, is I've got to turn my shoulders quickly to try and adjust to Garrett. But then that hurts your ability to gain depth because you're trying so focused to just try and meet him and slow him down. And now we're just fully turned. We're crossing over. We don't want any of that. Garrett's just, look at that. He gets himself skinny again so that you can't meet his chest. Instead of letting that strike get to his chest, he just turns those shoulders. Because now all of a sudden the tackle has nothing to grab onto and latch onto to slow you down. So instead he makes himself skinny, and then it's that ankle bend again to get around the edge, rips through those hands, gets to Joe Burrow, who just Burrow wisely is like, listen, man, he won pretty cleanly here. I'm not going to do anything besides just go down, keep myself healthy, play for next season. Disappointing year again for the Bengals. But just watch how hopeless this tackle is. He's trying to time it so well, but he just has to quickly turn, get crushed over. He's just never going to meet him. And then once he tries to make that strike, Garrett knows when to get his shoulders turned. Such an uncanny move for a pass rusher to do that and still keep their bend and momentum going the opposite direction. But that's the kind of stuff that Garrett can do as this premier pass rusher. The ability to prevent your chest from being exposed is really hard when you're moving. Like, I'm turning this way, I'm trying to move this way. He can do that and then work on that bend and that ankle flexion. I'll never get over the angles he can take, man, around the edge at his size. It's what makes him just so dominant. I know nothing in here is surprising. Yes, Myles Garrett is good at football, but I hope this at least gives you a better appreciation for why he is good at football. And that's kind of what this channel is all about. We'll talk about the truly great players from time to time when, they're in the news or they have a great game. Because sometimes you just need to see what makes them special. And I hope this video did exactly that. So let me know in the comments what you think about this trade. It's obviously crazy. It doesn't sound like it's going to be the only trade in the next couple of days. Obviously, A.J. Brown to the Patriots. Some rumors of some other moves now that all the cap space is cleared from post-June 1 cuts and moves. So let me know in the comments what you think of the move, any other trades you might see happening. And running back week will continue as promised for the rest of the week, starting with going over run concepts tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed that video tomorrow as well. Subscribe if you made it to the end of the video and you're not already. Appreciate all of you. This was a fun one to do. We'll see you next time.